Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today's Wednesday, the 8th of July. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about a Monaco bomb suspect has been found dead in Kiev. Iran has targeted Bahrain and Kuwait after a wave of US strikes, and Zelenskiy has signed drone deals with 3 countries. So firstly, Monaco police say a woman wanted over a bomb attack tied to Ukraine has been found dead near Kiev. She was reportedly one of several suspects investigators were tracking across Europe. The death has clearly cut off that lead, just as authorities were closing in on who may have financed the attack. So what? I think it's likely this closes off the clearest path to identify who ordered the attack. I think it's probably a deliberate silencing rather than a coincidence given the timing and location. Interestingly, a Ukrainian military intelligence officer has been arrested in connection with it by Ukrainian government intelligence, though he has apparently stated he acted alone. I think it's highly likely this is a bit of a shadow war incident as the conflict grinds on. Interestingly, it could be a mix of like criminal elements and intelligence services within Ukraine. I think the most likely thing that caused it was Ukrainian intelligence killing him off, or attempting to bomb the suspect, and then when it went awry, tried to tidy up their tracks. But it's all kind of blown up in their face at this point. It wouldn't be surprising if that was what actually happened here. But we might know, we might never know. Pretty interesting story. Could make a good movie in the future. But next, Iran has struck sites in Bahrain and Kuwait, expanding its response after a wave of US strikes hit Iranian targets. Both countries host major American military infrastructure, with Bahrain's 5th Fleet headquarters and Kuwait having key army logistics. The strikes have pushed the conflict to more direct exchanges between the US and Iran as this conflict drags on. So what? I think this likely signals that Iran is just trying to show the US, we can hit you. We can hit you wherever you are. We can hit your headquarters in Bahrain, Kuwait, across the GCC states. It's interesting they haven't targeted the UAE again. Possibly, I don't know what's behind that, but it's pretty interesting. I think it likely puts a bit of pressure, or is designed to put pressure on Bahrain and Kuwait, both to defend themselves, so that their local civilian populations actually believe that the governments can defend them against Iran, but also trying to push them to reconsider whether they should host US assets, though I think it's highly unlikely the US is going anywhere. It's possible that this is a first step towards, return to conflict. We haven't heard a lot in terms of ceasefire negotiations in the last week, and then these couple of strikes have happened. It's not a good sign, but I think the US is still going to try and push for a deal. As we've talked about numerous times, they don't really have much to negotiate off at this point. And lastly, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy has signed drone deals with 3 countries to expand Kiev's supply and production of unmanned systems. Drones remain central to Ukraine's offensive and defensive military strategy, especially against Russian strikes. The deals add new partners beyond Ukraine's usual suppliers. I think it's pretty interesting because it's trying to diversify Ukraine's reliance on any single drone supplier, or, drone parts supplier, as the case may be. A lot of their drones are assembled in Ukraine, so it's quite possible that this is bringing in equipment to build more drones. And it's likely part of a strategy to, sustain Ukraine long term. I think Ukraine is making it pretty clear that they have no intention to surrender here, and that they're willing to fight the long fight against Russia, who, probably can't sustain this war for too much longer. I also don't think it's signaling a reduced Western appetite for backing of Ukraine, despite the fatigue narrative coming out of a lot of countries, particularly the US. Ukraine has made it pretty clear that they are pretty good to go it alone without the US at this point. So, it's pretty interesting. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!